Hey guys. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Sorry it's been a fat minute since I have not been uploaded, but I have a story time to tell you guys. So basically I had a rough week this week. As you can tell by the title, I almost went to jail. And so let me start with the story at the beginning. Basically, my phone was broken on Sunday. So basically what happened is on Sunday my phone was broken. So I was like panicking because I had no phone and it was kind of miserable, but you know, it's okay. So the next day I went on a wild juice, like trying to figure out how to fix my car or my phone, and trying to fix my phone because it was broken. But I went to Apple Store. I spent like 2 hours there when it should have been like an hour maximum, but you know, it's okay because the person did not check me in. After that, when I came out of the mall, I noticed my car was stolen. So I was like, great. So I was checking out. It was hard raining, pouring down rain. I was trying to look for my car because sometimes I have a blonde moment and I'm just like, you know what, I just need to find my car. Maybe I misplaced it. I kept on looking and looking. I'm like, okay, my car is not here. So I asked my church people if they can pick me up or just take me to work or something like that, because I was like, oh well. And then they're like, oh Heather, like if your car is stolen, you should call 911. And I'm like, you know, at this point I'm just like trusting in God. I'm like, God, like, because literally like 2 years ago I remember my prayer, like, God, this is not my car, this is your car. And I just like was praying and I'm like, you know what, like, okay, let me call the police, maybe they can figure out something, you know. And so the police came, we report the car is stolen, try and look for it first because, you know, people could have moved it and stuff like that, or just don't remember where I parked. So yes, but so we reported stolen. I got to work, I went to prayer that night, and I was just praying to God. I'm like, God, like, I'm just like, like I was before prayer started, 2 people was talking to me, and like a lot of people were like, oh Heather, it sucks that your car got stolen. I'm like, yeah, my car got stolen, and this is all true facts. And I was just like, you know what, like, God knows where my car is. I don't need to worry about it because, like, well, how can I worry about it because if I can't do anything about it? And so then then I went back home, and then me and my mom went to the mall again at night after like all like the mall is closed, the cars are gone. We drove around and we found my car. I was so happy. We called 911 because I was scared somebody might be in there, because you never know if they have guns or anything. But I was like, God, like, thank you so much for my car, for protecting my car, like, thank you for your glory, thank you for everything. We checked it inside my car. It was trash, which I was like, obviously, like, I was expecting that because, you know, they were probably trying to find drugs or alcohol or anything like that. So, but they didn't, because, you know, I'm a Christian. And so yeah, so on the police record, they, like, you know, they said that it's found, so it's good. So then I took it back home, you know, drive it for a couple days, and then just doing my stuff, like going to church ministries, taking the girls like to church and back, because, like, you know, they can't drive, and I don't mind driving them. Like, it's a blessing, like, to do that ministry while you have a car. And then here comes Friday night. I went to church, I went to youth, you know, usual stuff. Went to church, and there was going to be a breakthrough prayer, but I did not get to go. I should have went, but I didn't, and because the girls in group of my friends wanted to go to boba that was in Seattle. And so we drove there, and there was this truck, working truck, merged over off the ramp in front of me, and so I stopped my car and I lost power. And the funny thing is, before this happened, one guy from my church was sharing a word, and they were talking about cars, how you need to take care of it, and like an owner needs to take care of the car. And he was right. And a lot of people, and I did not get an oil change because my mom was going to do it for me and my dad was going to do it for me. They were going to figure out time. They did not add oil to my car like they said they would, and you know, I just trusted them, but you always need to keep it accountable of them. And so yeah, and so I pulled over, turned off my car, and trying to start it up, and my car was making sound. I'll like record it. It was like sound, and I was like, okay, this is not great. Yeah, it's not great. So I was like, okay, let me call one of the guy friends that we were like meeting up with to come and pick up the girls, because I had 4 girls in my car and then me. I was being calm, trying to call the tow truck, with my insurance, and I was like, it's taking forever. I'm trying to text other people, and I'm trying to restart my car, and there was smoke coming out. Yeah, no bueno. It was no bueno. So the 4 girls got scared and they just ran out. And so the guy came over, checked my car, told me what the situation is, and he told me like I ran out of oil, and oh crud. And I was like, okay, like, you know, God is still in control. And I was still glorifying God at this point, because I was staying calm. I'm knowing that God would take care of me, because like there's nothing to worry about. Like, yeah, it must be frustrating during these moments. Like, I know I would be frustrated, but I was like, you know, God is still in control. In control. So I was texting every guy that I know to come and help me who was like a mechanic, but some of them were on mission trips, some of them like were too far away, and I was literally praying to God for a miracle while I was still on the phone call with my insurance to find a tow truck, because it was like at this time like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm freezing cold, nobody having stopped on the freeway to check if I was okay or anything like that. And so I'm just like, you know, walking back and forth. I'm like, dear Jesus, like I'm praying for a miracle. Like right now, like God to prove me like you're real. Like, even though I know he's real, but I was like, God, just I'm pushing through. And there's this guy, I'm gonna name him Bob, and he lives all the way like 2 hours away, but he was coming down where I was for his work. So he's like, hey, do you need a rescue? And I'm like, yes please. Like, he was a miracle worker for me, and so he came to rescue me, and we got everything towed up, and then I was driving his van. I did not mean manuring, I meant like managing or guiding like my car. I don't know why I said manuring, but just ignore that word. Business van, and he was like in my car, because manuring, when to brake and stuff like that, and when to turn the wheel. And we were like 15 minutes away from home. Here's the story. 15 minutes away from home, and he told me, oh, there's a cop next to us, and I'm like, oh no, like things could be bad. I'm like, oh well, let me just ignore him, and going through to drive home. We're almost home, we're like 15 minutes away. And the police officer thought my friend Bob was driving, just cruising downtown like at 4 a.m. in the morning, and did not see the tow tug line rope that was connected. And since they were searching up my vehicle and I was not in the car, they pulled us over because they were expecting a female, not a male, to be driving that car. And we were on the phone with each other, like, because I can tell them when I'm about to brake and when I'm about to pull, making sure I was doing things, because I don't want to ruin my engine even more. And he's like, don't worry about it, like, I'll call the cop, I'll talk to the cops. And I told my friend Bob all the details that happened to me on Monday leading up to this point, because I was like, I just been having a crazy week. I've been trying to like you know, be faithful to God, because, you know, like, you can't do things when you're in a storm besides trusting in God. And so he like, and they had guns pointing at us. There was cop cars and everything, lights, and I'm like trying to listen through the window, like, for me to get out of the car, but I could not hear them first couple times. And Bob was telling them about like all the scenarios and like he knew that I told him, so he knows what's up. And they're like, okay, let's just get this girl out. And so they got, and so I heard like, so Bob was telling them, and then they're like, okay, girl in the Mercedes, like, get out of the vehicle. So I got out of the vehicle. I saw, like, I don't know, like guns, like, and I'm like, oh my Lord, I'm like, I'm going to jail. I'm like praying to God at this moment, like, this is my last, like, literally, like, the last thread of life I'm holding on to Jesus. I'm like, God, I don't know who you are at this point. I don't know, like if you're testing me or something, like, I don't know, it's turned into this testimony. And so basically I was like, I got out of the vehicle, my hands were up right here, and they told me, okay, so like hands up, and they were telling me to walk back, and I was trying to see where I'm going, because like I can't see because they're like 100 foot away from me. And it was really scary because I was like, my thought is like, God, I know they're probably pointing guns at me. Like, please be a barrier. Please be a barrier. Like, if I do any sudden wrong move, like, please protect me. Like, I don't want to get shot. I don't want to get hurt or anything. And so, like, I moved back where I passed my car. So I passed two cars. And then they're like, okay, like, move to your right. And I'm like, this right? Because I'm dyslexic. And so I mix up my left and rights. And so they're like, yes, keep moving, and then step back, and they grab me. And I'm like, and they're like, drop on your knees. And so I drop on my knees, obviously, to talk to them. I meant to like obey them because I don't want anything. And I was like really calm until they put me in handcuffs. That's when I'm like, oh no, like, what did Bob tell them? What did Bob say? Like, God, this is my last chance to trust you. Like, this is my last chance to trust you. Like, yeah. And so that happened, and they told me like, what is your name and all that. I told them, and they're like, do you know the store is this vehicle is stolen? I'm like, yes, I know this car was stolen. I'm the one who reported. I'm the one like who reported back when I found my vehicle and they're like, what time? And I was like 23:30, and like I was using military time, 23:30 on Monday night. Like, there was a cop with me, and I made a report. They're like, okay ma'am, like, calm down. And I'm like, you're telling this girl to calm down when I'm in handcuffs? Like, this is my first time being in handcuffs ever, and I'm like panicking for dear life. And I'm like, man, like, my parents are not gonna see me this morning, because literally they stayed up all night long to make sure I made it home. And it was scary. It was really scary. And so, but when they got me off the handcuffs, they're like, okay, let us check like the system, seeing why is it still like under stolen vehicle. And so, but you guys, like, I'm freezing, like I'm about to pee my pants. Like, that's how scared I was, and also how freezing cold it was, because it was like at the freezing point, like 32 Fahrenheit. And so yeah, so we got to warm up in the van for a little bit, and me and Bob, we were in the van laughing but crying at the same time, because I'm like, dude, like, this is gonna be the night to remember, like, this type of story, like, we're gonna tell like as a testimony, or like for me as a testimony, and like, you know, to tell our like sons and daughters and our grandkids, like, you know, in the future. And so yeah, and they're like, and then they came back and told me like, oh, why is it still under stolen vehicle? Because the DOL, like the DMV system, has not updated. And I'm like, oh great, like, that's nice to know. And then they told us what we were doing was illegal. But they're like, okay, like, how much minutes do you have home, like, to be home? I was like, I have 15 minutes, like, it's just down the road, it's just like to finish down this road. And so they're like, okay, like, we'll warn other police officers to not like popo you, or like I don't know what's the word they call, but like to bug us again, like to get pulled over for the same reason like why we got pulled over. I was like, okay, thank you so much, officer. And I was like, have a great night. And so yeah, and then so we finally made it home, and I'm like, man, like this was such a scary night, but at the same time I'm laughing because I'm like, man, like I never get to experience this like opportunity, or not opportunity, but this type of experience. And my parents are glad that I was safe. And please pray, this is my one prayer request, to please, if to save my motor, because I just paid $2,000 for my motor back in April, and I don't have $2,000 at this moment right now, and I'm just going through a lot of troubles right now. And I know I have not been posting lately because my life is not exciting, and if I want to share something with you guys, I really want to, but I just forget to film or stuff like that. So yeah, so there's the story of how I almost went to jail, and because I was trying to steal my own car. So yeah, so there's the story for you guys, and I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I hope you guys had a better week than I do. So thank you so much, and that Jesus loves you. Be like him.